Mr Speaker, our first budget laid the foundation for the fresh start Queenslanders voted for. Respect for taxpayers' money. Respect for our public servants.
Order. Order.
It's on.
Members, that is highly disorderly. The Treasurer traditionally will be heard in silence. The Treasurer has the floor. Treasurer, you have the call.
Respect for taxpayers' money. Respect for our public servants who work to heal the sick, teach and care for our young and protect our citizens. Respect for the industries that underpin our prosperity. And respect for hard-working Queenslanders who deserve better than what a decade of Labor government gave them. Today, Mr Speaker, we strengthen those foundations in challenging times, both here and abroad, by delivering what we said we would and honouring our election commitments. By investing in the jobs and services that would have ended under Labor. And by funding the infrastructure and projects to build our state's future. By providing certainty and stability through another budget with no new or increased taxes, and not taking the easy option other governments have taken, damaging confidence and aspiration across our country. 12,000 kilometres away lies the Strait of Hormuz. War in Iran and blockages in the Strait have impacted roughly 20% of the world's oil supply, reverberating through all markets to all corners of the global economy. One of the most significant geopolitical economic shocks in our lifetime will linger long across the world. And Queensland lies at the very end of this global supply chain, downstream of the global chaos. The nation's largest user of diesel, oil reliance buried deep in our economy, products embedded across industries in ways obvious and subtle, driving prices higher now and into a still uncertain future. 1,000 kilometres away lies Canberra, a federal Labor budget of broken promises that threatens not just political stability, but the confidence and aspiration of everyday Australians, young and older, small business and family business. But that's just the beginning, Mr Speaker. Canberra's approach to federal-state financial arrangements threatens the very stability of the Federation. National Disability Insurance Scheme cost shifting in the billions. Inexplicable changes to natural disaster funding after a year in which 74 of 77 local government areas in Queensland have been disaster declared. Uncertainty regarding previously struck 80-20 Bruce Highway funding agreements. Queensland Inland Rail funding centred at Victoria, depriving our nation of its long-held promise. More than 1,000 stranded Queenslanders lying in hospital awaiting federally responsible aged care places. Ill-defined and ill-conceived intervention in the Queensland-supplied East Coast gas market. TAFE funding cuts, jeopardising more than 10,000 placements. And of course, the inequities of the GST carve-up penalising Queensland for its decentralisation and commitment to the national wealth-creating gas industry. Despite the national pool increasing by almost 20% over the past 3 years, Queensland will be allocated less GST in real terms in 2026-27 than what we did in 23-24. And those opposite said nothing. Said nothing. And just metres away, not 12,000 kilometres, not 1,000 kilometres, just metres away, sit those opposite. Their legacy of debt, deficits and deceit. Record debt, worsening deficits, broken tax promises, state-owned service stations, state-owned GP practices, state-sliced school lunches, projects unscoped, ungoverned and undeliverable. Pioneer Burdekin, hydrogen, Barumba, copper string. Budget papers as advertising hoarding. Nothing inside them to support Queenslanders who desperately needed it. Not 50-cent fares. Not play-on sports vouchers. Not even bill relief for vulnerable Queensland households. Unfunded jobs and services in health, in child safety and homelessness. A credit rating downgrade not just highly likely but inevitable. Turning around the ship from that careless course charted by those opposite will take time. Mr Speaker, these are the challenges, both near and far, that face the Crisafulli government as we started preparing our second budget. And today I present a budget to the House that strengthens the foundations of our first budget to address these challenges and delivers strengthened fiscal results. Mr Speaker, today I can announce an operating surplus in the last of the budget years of 2029-2030. As foreshadowed last year, this surplus is possible because of stable revenue improvements, the careful management of expense growth and a growing Queensland economy. The operating deficit for 2026-27 has improved to $6.2 billion, following this year's expected operating deficit of $8.8 billion. Again, this improvement has been achieved through careful expense growth management, with a forecast 4.9% increase in expenses in 26-27 compared to 5.3% in last year's budget, and Labor's historic growth of 6.6%. Mr Speaker, we've avoided the easy decisions seen in other jurisdictions. Higher taxes, reducing services and projects ended. I can advise the House today that total state debt will be lower each year across the forward estimates than previously forecast. Debt this year will be $142.4 billion, a $5.4 billion reduction on last year's budget. Total state debt is now forecast to reach $216.5 billion at the end of the forward estimates in 29-30. Labor's debt trajectory at the same time would have been $290 billion. We promised that debt would be lower under our government, and it is. We're delivering a further reduction in the cap on the number of non-frontline senior executives employed under the Public Sector Act from 842 to 793. This reduction is being achieved following a review of unfilled positions that would have otherwise cost around $54.2 million across the forwards. Our Productivity Commission will continue to lead policy debate across the state after its first inquiry into building construction sector productivity and the provision of advice relating to energy and the GST distribution methodology. The Productivity Commission recommendation to terminate best practice industry conditions is delivering savings of $20.6 billion to the community, together with the ongoing Commission of Inquiry into the CFMEU. The CFMEU, they are reminders of the vigilance necessary to drive productivity to deliver better living standards for future generations. The hard work of strengthening the foundations of budget improvement will continue this term and next, just as we promised, respecting Queenslanders' money, helping Queenslanders through the tough times and making responsible decisions for now and in the future. Lower debts, improving deficits with a surplus forecast and no new or increased taxes. We are delivering what we promised.
Order. Order.
There it is. There it is.
Order.
There it is.
Order. Treasurer has the call.
Mr Speaker, this budget delivers what we said it would. We're doing our bit to help Queenslanders through tough times. And we know many families are doing it tough right now as they face the national affordability crisis, rising inflation and price spikes driven by war in the Middle East. This budget delivers the largest ongoing cost of living relief support package in Queensland's history. It is nearly $9.3 billion supporting Queenslanders in 2026-27. This is a 5.4% increase on last year's cost of living relief package, a total of $700 million. It is targeted and timely, recurrent and responsible. This budget increases the back-to-school boost by 50% to $150 for every primary school-age student in Queensland. This will support families to pay for school books, uniforms and excursions to help with expenses at the start of the school year. We're delivering easier access to healthcare services for regional and remote Queensland by boosting the patient travel subsidy scheme with faster reimbursements and increasing the fuel subsidy by 11 cents to a nation-leading 45 cents a kilometre. We've locked in play-on sports vouchers to support families that would have otherwise ended under those opposite last year. Likewise, the LNP's permanent 50-cent fares. Mr. Speaker.
Order. Order.
Mr. Speaker, it's going to be locked in. Mr. Speaker.
Call the Treasurer.
The LNP's permanent 50-cent fares will be locked in. Mr. Speaker, it will be legislated. It will be legislated. It will be legislated. It'll be legislated. Yep.
Order.
It will be legislated, Mr. Speaker.
Order. Order. Treasurer has the call.
Mr.
Treasurer.
Mr. Speaker, it will be legislated so those opposite can never, ever, ever leave the Crisafulli government's permanent 50-cent fares unfunded. That's what we're delivering.
Order.
Mr. Speaker, the vulnerable household electricity rebate, cruelly frozen by the former government, will again increase by 3.4% to almost $400, providing an uplift in support to around 700,000 Queensland households. The government indexation rate has been set below inflation for 2026-27, which reduces cost pressures flowing through to Queensland families. Bulk water prices in the southeast will be frozen for 2 years, giving households certainty that their water bill won't skyrocket, saving households around $130. We're expanding free kindy health checks with $37.5 million over 5 years to help families with cost of living pressures and give Queensland kids the support they need as they start their educational journey. We've extended the boosted first homeowner grant to $30,000 for another 4 years, incentivising young people to get into the market in a new build, encouraging more supply. In opposition, then our Premier and I would often speak in relation to the need to deliver structural cost of living relief for Queenslanders. In Labor's last full year of office, Queensland had some of the sharpest cost of living increases in the country. In 1 year alone, power was up 19.9%, 3 times the national average. Insurance was up 18.5% in the same year. We are working to address these structural cost of living challenges, and while there will be ups and downs, there are green shoots appearing. Stand by.
Order.
Stand by. You know it.
You don't want the power reduction?
Don't want lower power prices.
Order.
Don't want that.
Treasurer, you have the call.
Mr. Speaker, the Insurance Council of Australia recently reported that car theft insurance claims fell 12% in Queensland during the last 12 months. The biggest reduction on record. The biggest reduction on record, which should put downwards pressure on insurance premiums, and there is more to do. In the first year after Labor released their energy and jobs plan, power prices rose 29% in regional Queensland. In the first year after we released our energy roadmap, they dropped 6.9%. For small and family businesses, it's 8.1%. And I've directed Ergon to ensure these savings are passed on. In the southeast, the decreases detailed in the Australian Energy Regulator's default market offer between 7.2 and 10.7% for households and between 10.4 and 14% for small and family businesses. They must also be reflected in Queenslanders' power bills. We've done our bit, and now it's time for retailers to do theirs. But this work is just the beginning. This budget through the energy roadmap increases our electricity maintenance guarantee to $1.8 billion over 5 years. This builds on an investment of almost $400 million in 2025-26, including 4 major overhauls at Callide C3 and C4, Tarong and Wivenhoe power stations. In 2026-27, government-owned corporations will undertake 4 major unit overhauls at the Wivenhoe, Stanwell, Tarong and Kogan Creek power stations, investing more than $520 million to ensure the continued delivery of power into the network. By properly maintaining generation assets through our electricity maintenance guarantee and boosting private sector investment in new generation and storage, we're putting downward pressure on power prices, just as we said we would. And that's real, tangible cost of living relief. Mr. Speaker, economic confidence has been battered by volatility in the Middle East and Canberra's chaos. While the outlook is uncertain, there is no better place to weather the storm than Queensland. Queensland's economy remains resilient to global pressures and continues to outperform many other states. Queensland's taxation per capita is extremely competitive compared to other jurisdictions. It's estimated Queenslanders will pay about $650 less tax per person than the average of other jurisdictions in 26-27 and are estimated to pay less tax going forward. Reflecting our open for business approach, gross state product is forecast to grow by 2.5% in 25-26, easing to 1.75% in 26-27 as higher inflation, interest rates and fuel costs moderate economic activity before pushing past 2% for the rest of the forward estimates. Employment growth is expected to moderate to 1.5% in 25-26, while the unemployment rate is forecast to remain consistently low by historical standards. Inflation is forecast to ease from 4.75% to 3.75% in 26-27 before returning to more moderate levels over the medium term. Again, Mr. Speaker, this budget categorically disproves the base scare campaign and the deception of those opposite when it comes to the public sector. Mr. Speaker, it is over. It is over. I can today announce that the Public Sector Commission's State of the Sector report shows an increase of 8,693 full-time equivalent roles in Queensland.
Where are they working?
Queensland taxpayers and Queenslanders will be happy to know that only 34 of those roles are in corporate roles. 99.6% of the 8,693 new FTEs employed in Queensland are on the front line. Yeah. They are on the front line, Mr. Speaker. That is just 0.4% of the FTE increase in the past year related to corporate roles, down from an average of 17.5% and 6.5% in Labor's last 2 years in office. With a record $35.5 billion health budget, we're continuing to restore health services for Queenslanders as we heal Labor's health crisis. The investments we made in last year's budget are healing the ailing system, with ambulance ramping down to a half-decade low and the elective surgery waitlist stabilised. Operational funding black holes left by Labor have been filled. Labor's hospital announcements weren't funded, weren't deliverable.
Lytton's warned.
Labor's hospital announcements weren't funded, weren't deliverable, and simply weren't real. As the Sangster Review revealed, it was a mirage of media releases. Throughout Queensland, new hospitals are being opened or reaching construction milestones, and existing facilities are getting the upgrades they did not receive under the former government. We're ending the blowouts and properly scoping projects with a fully funded hospital rescue plan delivering 3 new hospitals in Toowoomba, Coomera and Bundaberg and 10 expanded hospitals throughout the state to deliver more than 2,600 new hospital beds. We're delivering a health workforce to operate them with new CTs, MRIs, transit lounges and step-up, step-down services, boosting health services in regional and remote Queensland. The budget invests $74 million to continue delivery of the Closing the Gap Priorities Fund to provide better health and essential infrastructure for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders and their communities, with 21 new projects to improve drinking water supply, wastewater management, waste infrastructure and social infrastructure. Finding a place to call home, whether you're a renter, buyer or someone facing homelessness, has become a genuine challenge for many. It's not a problem confined to Queensland, but it has been exacerbated here by the policy choices of the former government. It led to fewer homes being built, more people on the social housing wait list, rents going up, home ownership rates going down. While Labor built the housing crisis, we are creating the conditions for more homes to be built. Yeah. At the heart of it all is a single word: supply. That symbol watchword applies to all of Queensland, from the regions to the city, and for all Queenslanders. We know there's a long way to go to reverse Labor's decline, but we're seeing progress. Under the Deputy Premier, we've unlocked land for more than 98,000 new homes through the Residential Activation Fund, with round 2 doubled to $1 billion in this budget process. Through its Land Activation Program, EDQ has identified and released to market underutilised projects, government land, to boost housing supply. 3 new priority development areas have been declared since April last year. The Infrastructure Activation Fund, with a cumulative $2.4 billion in funding available to Queensland, including federal funding, will unlock development-ready land to deliver 20,500 homes for first homeowners to be built in Queenslanders. And the numbers show progress. There have never been more homes under construction in Queensland than what there are right now, Mr. Speaker. The latest ABS data revealed 48,044 homes under construction in Queensland. That's a record. Dwelling approvals hit 45,391, up 19.4% compared with the same period 1 year ago. Queenslanders want to achieve the dream of home ownership, and we're helping them to get there. We terminated 2 taxes last year, and the abolition of stamp duty on new homes for first home buyers has helped 3,501 Queenslanders into their first home sooner. In the past year, the First Homeowner Grant has also helped 3,411 Queenslanders get the keys to their first home, and it will be extended for a further 4 years. We're boosting home ownership for Indigenous Queenslanders through the Rent to Buy program on Palm Island, with $2 million over 10 years. And the Boost to Buy home ownership scheme has opened the door for new homeowners throughout the state, with more than 100 settling on their dreams and thousands of Queenslanders registering interest in the first 6 months alone. Increasing housing supply also benefits renters, as well as those needing extra support from social or community housing. Labor built an average of 509 social or community homes every year. Every year. Today, there are 6,500 social and affordable homes underway in Queensland. That's an all-time high, and this budget maintains that momentum with a record $5.7 billion investment over 4 years as we work towards our target of 53,500 social and community homes by 2044. With a 20% locked-in funding uplift to specialist homelessness last year in the budget, we're providing more support for vulnerable Queenslanders than ever, with an additional $450 million over 4 years for specialist homelessness and crisis support. We're providing more teachers' aides and chaplains to support students and removing red tape to free up teachers from administration as part of a record $23.1 billion education budget. We're making classrooms safer with an extra 139 workplace health and safety officers in our schools as part of an $83.9 million investment. We've already hit number 1 in the country for screen production, and our $391.9 million arts budget is boosting Queensland's big screen presence and the jobs that come with it. We're also investing in festivals and events across the state, activating regional and rural communities and promoting cultural tourism, no matter where you live in Queensland. We're investing $50 million to grow the agriculture industry that has for so long underpinned our state's economy. By investing in on-farm innovation and projects to boost production, we're growing Queensland's primary production output to $30 billion by 2030. We're protecting the Great Barrier Reef for future generations with $330 million over 4 years to boost water quality and minimise runoff impacts. It's the state's biggest investment to preserve and protect the Great Barrier Reef, which supports 77,000 jobs and contributes $9 billion annually to the national economy. We're preserving our unique environment by expanding national parks and protected areas with $126 million over 4 years. We are working with councils and industry in relation to the waste strategy, continuing Labor's waste levy trajectory and increasing investment into recycling and resource recovery as part of a $975 million investment over 5 years. Tourism is a major employer throughout Queensland, from the coast to Cameron Corner. And we know tourists love our stunning natural attractions. As we prepare to showcase Queensland to the world in 2032...
Order.
Get the map out for them.
Order. It's always been convention to hear this speech in silence. It's been pretty ordinary, the performance so far today. Treasurer has the call.
I don't mind, Mr. Speaker. As we prepare to showcase Queensland to the world in 2032, we're unlocking our national parks with more environmentally sensitive and nature-based tourism opportunities. It's part of our plan to deliver 45 new ecotourism experiences by 2045 and strengthen our rural and regional economies with new tourism opportunities. To strengthen the workforce of the future, we're building a pipeline of skilled workers and supporting small businesses with assistance to cover the cost of apprenticeship wages during off-site training under the Small Business Apprenticeship Pilot Program with $19 million over 4 years. We've invested $100 million to support small businesses to grow and access government procurement through training and support under the Small and Family Business First Action Statement. And we're rebuilding Queensland's skilled workforce with a record number of apprenticeship completions and a surge in Queenslanders getting on the tools to start their trades. Our $201 million investment to establish 4 new TAFE centres of excellence will see work start in the coming year in Rockhampton, Caloundra, Petrie and the southern Moreton Bay Islands. An economy is stronger and more productive when every Queenslander has a chance to participate in it. Queensland women are at the centre of our communities, our economy and our future. Across Queensland, women are contributing every day as entrepreneurs, professionals, tradies, healthcare workers, teachers, emergency volunteers, farmers and community leaders. That's why this budget continues funding with $10 million to assist women returning to work from a career break. We're supporting female founders to build investment capability and connect with investors through the Backing Female Funders program with $2.8 million invested in 2026-27. Mr. Speaker, all these strengthening investments in our services are built on a stronger economy. We're building new industries, including critical minerals, while benefiting from our competitive advantage in our traditional industries and our strengths in resources, agriculture and tourism. We cannot be any clearer. Queensland is open for business. This budget invests $146 million into accelerating extraction, processing and export of high-quality critical minerals to the world, driving investment in new projects and reopening mothballed mines that remain rich in resources. That includes $100 million in the Queensland Critical Minerals Fund, managed through Queensland Investment Corporation, to accelerate strategically important projects and attract global partners to co-invest. Critical minerals are not just rocks in the ground. They are the building blocks of advanced manufacturing. Queensland is home to at least 51 critical minerals, and our budget invests in processing facilities, common user facilities, and rail line investments to accelerate the industry's development. We're investing $19 million over 2 years in the Queensland Fuel Security Plan to restore sovereign capability, with a plan to fast-track development of the Taroom Trough, optimise production in the Cooper-Aramenga Basin, and increase refining capability on Queensland soil. Never again will Queensland be left so exposed to international shocks, and our plan to drill, refine and store will build sovereign capability and a stronger nation. We've released 18 new prospective petroleum and gas, coal and mineral exploration areas to secure a pipeline of future energy and minerals projects. We're attracting renewed interest in Queensland's world-class metallurgical and thermal coal assets, underpinned by streamlined approvals and a stable operating environment. We're working hard to repair Queensland's international reputation, establishing new relationships abroad, welcoming investors back, welcoming them back to our state, and supporting our exporters by providing investment certainty and stability. Our $180 million Sovereign Industry Development Fund is backing innovation and developing state and national capability, particularly in the areas of biomedical, defence and biofuels, creating new jobs across Queensland. We're boosting advanced manufacturing with the new manufacturing hub in Maryborough to resource small business manufacturers, developing skills, capability and build local supply chains. And, Mr Speaker, we are committing $410 million in 26-27 for the first train to be manufactured in Maryborough under the Queensland Train Manufacturing Program. Mr Speaker, we are building Queensland's future. The 2026-27 capital program will deliver $119.2 billion over 4 years to 2029-30, supporting investment in critical infrastructure across the state, including transport, health, education, energy and water assets. Central to a better lifestyle and a more productive economy is the transport system and infrastructure that Queenslanders need. We're building generational projects now and for the future. Improvements to make the journey home safer and sooner. And this budget invests in a record infrastructure pipeline, including the Wave Stage 1 progressing through design, continued rollout of Country Roads Connect, and ongoing targeted Bruce Highway safety upgrades. Several major projects under the $9 billion joint program have already been completed, and dozens more are underway or ready to commence shortly. It is about building a safer, more resilient Bruce Highway to support communities and industries, getting you where you need to be sooner and safer. Barron River Bridge, Bribie Island Bridge, Mooloolah River Interchange, Back Creek Bridge, Rockhampton Ring Road, Coomera Connector, right across Queensland from the far north to Coolangatta. That's just the beginning. We're developing a new Gold Coast transport plan to help future-proof our state's second largest city for decades to come. Supported by the continued delivery of faster rail. We're seizing the generational opportunity presented by the 2032 Olympic and Paralympic Games to create legacy infrastructure for all Queenslanders that will drive tourism and support grassroots sports throughout the state. After 1,200 days of delay and mayhem under the former government, we're getting on with the job of delivering the Games. Preparatory earthworks have begun at Victoria Park for the centrepiece of the Games, the new Brisbane Stadium. as part of the $7.1 billion joint venue funding. We're progressing works on athletes' villages and other games venues, including Barlow Park upgrades, Sunshine Coast Stadium, Sunshine Coast Mountain Biking Centre, Redland Whitewater, the Moreton Bay Indoor Sports Centre, and even the Toowoomba Equestrian Centre. Mr. Speaker, the $300 million Queensland Legacy Fund is investing in upgrades for grassroots sporting facilities throughout Queensland, including a major upgrade to Suncorp Stadium to ensure this sporting hub is games ready and can continue to provide memorable Queensland moments for decades to come. We're taking our youngest Queenslanders on the games journey too, by delivering the second round of the $250 million Games On program to invest in generational grassroots sporting infrastructure for community clubs across the state. We're delivering new modern infrastructure for the racing industry under the Racing Future Fund, which includes a $25 million investment to begin work on new spectator facilities at Queensland's premier racecourse, Eagle Farm. Infrastructure improvements will be delivered across all three codes, including a new racing HQ at Albion Park, new harness infrastructure at Marburg and Toowoomba, new lights for the Toowoomba Turf Club, and a new track for Bundaberg Greyhounds. We're strengthening the future of our youngest Queenslanders by building 22 new schools, including 4 new primary schools, 3 new high schools, and 9 new special schools. We're strengthening the future of the state and the nation with a record $3.2 billion investment to build the Copper String Energy Project. It's a project of national strategic significance that realises the potential of the Northwest region, also backed by the $200 million Northwest Energy Fund, unlocking new resources and critical minerals projects. In rural and regional Queensland, water is life, lifestyles and livelihoods. To give farmers and communities access to the water security they need, we're investing in capacity restoring upgrades to existing dams, starting with works to restore North Pine and Lake McDonald towards full service levels with $545 million invested over 6 years. We're rebuilding Paradise Dam to support Wide Bay and Burnett agriculture and strengthen the region's future, with $59.8 million invested in this year's budget to support ongoing planning work. And we're investing $324 million in 2026-27 to progress investigations to increase the capacity of Borumba Dam for additional water supply for farmers and families, alongside progressing the delivery of the Borumba Pumped Hydro project. We're increasing water storage and capacity to protect agriculture and deliver water security with 5 new weirs along the Thompson River in Longreach, delivering the Barlil and Kuranga weirs, improving water supply reliability along the Burnett's Boyne River and Baramba Creek, as well as advancing the business case for the Water for Worrell irrigation project. The budget invests $31.4 million for new fire stations in Harvey Bay, Kingaroy and Ayr, thanks to the strong advocacy of their local members.
And I met the union out there, they love it.
We're modernising our firefighting fleet to keep Queenslanders protected from bushfires with a $43.4 million investment in 26-27. Mr. Speaker, Labor's youth crime crisis was created over a decade of decline, and it will take more than 2 budgets in a single term of government to fix. Under Labor's decade in government, got to hear it. Speaking of water.
Order.
Under Labor's decade of decline in government, victims of crime increased 193%. There was a 91% increase in the number of stolen vehicles and a 101% increase in robberies. But we're doing what we said. We are making Queensland safer. We're delivering stronger laws and more police to provide a harder deterrence to would-be criminals and repeat offenders. The Crisafulli government has delivered already on its election commitment with more than 1,600 new police recruits, and we did it twice as fast as we said we would, surpassing 13,000 officers for the first time in the state's history. But there's more to do. We're investing $23 million in recruiting more frontline officers to keep Queenslanders safe. We're delivering new and upgraded police stations, facilities and police beats, including Stage 2 of the Kerwin Police Facility, with a total $495.9 million investment into these works. We're funding the expansion of the Woodford Youth Detention Centre to increase capacity and keep dangerous repeat offenders from our streets. We know that early intervention and rehabilitation also plays an important role in turning young people away from crime, which is why we're delivering new crime prevention schools and youth justice schools, as well as the ongoing delivery of targeted programs to break the cycle of reoffending, including $80 million for a remote rehabilitation-focused program for youth offenders. While we're targeting crime prevention, we're also assuring victims of crime that they are not alone. We're protecting victims of domestic and family violence with the ongoing electronic monitoring trial program for high-risk domestic violence offenders. We're providing additional funding of $37.1 million over 4 years to clear the DNA backlog and continue forensic testing at the state's forensic laboratory. Crucially, after the Commission of Inquiry lifted the veil on Labor's decade of failures in child safety and child protection, this budget delivers major reform for a broken system to better protect and support our youngest and most vulnerable. We're implementing recommendations of the Commission of Inquiry with a $200 million investment in 26-27 and establishing a new Queensland Protection Commission to implement the reforms, with more than $250 million over 4 years to implement the in plain sight response. As the Attorney-General said just last week, it takes a village to raise a child, but it takes a society to protect them. Mr. Speaker, when we came to government, we uncovered the true state of the state's finances. Unfunded service programs, fake savings programs, thousands of unfunded positions, poorly scoped projects with blowouts and overruns. Under Labor, the 2026-2027 operating deficit would have been $9.2 billion. We have made a nearly $3 billion improvement. From day one, we laid and now strengthened the foundations of the state's fiscal position. We've strengthened this fiscal position while growing services and frontline jobs without new or increased taxes. We showed a new way to do things, steady improvements to fiscal outcomes while delivering improvements to services. A particular focus on what matters, not by taking the easy choice and lifting taxes, damaging confidence and creating uncertainty, but by doing what we promised. Mr. Speaker, it's sometimes said that budgeting is turning strategy into numbers, and our strategy could not be any clearer. Delivering the hospitals and health services Queensland need to heal the health crisis. Delivering more police officers and support programs to make Queenslanders safer. Delivering new homes and helping open the door for first home buyers so more Queenslanders have a place to call home. Delivering investments into long-term structural reform to put downward pressure on Queenslanders' cost of living. The foundations were laid last year, and this budget strengthens them, despite the economic headwinds at home and abroad. We could have been distracted by events in Canberra and in the Middle East, but we weren't. We remained mindful of the impacts, and at all times we've stayed focused on Queenslanders, looking through the immediate noise and looking at what lay beyond, providing certainty in the face of volatility, determined to make Queenslanders' lives simpler, not complicate them like other governments would. We're doing what those opposite did not, would not, and could not. Respect for taxpayers' money.
Order.
I don't like hearing it, Mr. Speaker.
Order.
They don't like hearing it, Mr.
You have
Speaker.
the call. Order.
Respect for taxpayer money. Stability and certainty for households, business and industry. Doing our bit, helping Queenslanders through tough times and delivering on our commitments. Strengthening the foundations we've laid. Delivering the fresh start that Queenslanders voted for. Yeah.